Hello, this is the video review of Gundam 00 1/44th scale high-grade 00 riser, condenser type. Now, some of you will probably know what that means, but a lot of you might not, so I'll explain it. Gundam 00 is a Gundam anime series, in which there's a bunch of different factions, I think 4 or 5, I don't remember. There's 3 or 4 sort of government organization, international something or other, fuel control things. And then there's the celestial beings. Could you keep it down out there? I'm filming. Sorry. And the 00 suit is one of those, hence the name of the show, Gundam 00. Now this particular model, Gundam 00 Riser, is sort of interesting because it's a 2-pack, really, of the 00 mobile suit and the O-Razor jet. And you can sort of see there's jet, well, first of all, it's got a huge, it's kind of hard for me to film right here on the box, but it's got you can see wing parts and see one of the other, I think the Raphael suit in the back. And then there's the main Gundam with the gun. And this really isn't just a 2-pack of the 2 sets, because it actually includes extra things, namely a giant sword, the GN Blade 3, which is the gun thing he's holding, and you can sort of see there's a blade extending out the back, and that can flip forward. And he's also got a pair of smaller gun sword things called the GN Sword 2s. And then there's some extra bits that slide over them to give them little red energy glows. Just little things like that. And the condenser type is different in one very subtle way that it took me quite a while looking around to actually find out what the difference from this and the normal 00 riser is. And that is those dark parts on the shoulders. On all the other versions, there's sort of conic pointed whitish cones, and actually this set does also come with the cones, and thus that is how I have him right now. And let me just bring this up a little closer. You can see you don't get the gray parts on most versions, you just get this one. This is the condenser one, and thus it has the additional option of the dark gray ones. I personally, when I'm just displaying the Gundam 00, as in not with the jet combined, I use these because I think they just fit the style of the suit better on its own. However, his combination with the O-Razor jet is much sturdier if you use the dark gray condensers. And speaking of which, well, first of all, I'd like to show you what you get with this set. You get this, the suit, the 00 suit. You get the O-Riser jet, and I'll talk about that on its own in a minute. And you get this stand. Now this stand is part of the O-Razor set, so it's really a jet stand, though you can plug it into 00 riser, or even just the 00 on its own. It holds them perfectly fine. It's just, the only problem is that if you have it this way, since it's designed to tilt a jet up, it means he'll be like this. But then again, you just put it this way and he's fine. But anyway, as I was saying, you can switch out the condensers, which are among the very large bag of parts. You get quite a few parts with this guy, and I like that. That's very cool. But anyway, the condensers on their own, if let's just get them out. The condensers look like this. And they just go on the shoulders, and they are at first a little hard to get off. But what you do is, if you notice there's that gray polycap right there. Well, I'll let the camera focus. Well, anyway, you just push it on with your thumbnail, and you can see it pushes this up enough to pop it out, and then you can just clip in a condenser and then just pop it back on, and then there's a side-by-side comparison of the different look. I don't like the dark gray condensers on their own with the suit because they don't fit. There's really not that much dark gray on the suit, but there's quite a bit of white, and I honestly think the white cone drive things, GN drives I guess they're called, fit the coloration of the suit better. However, there is a lot more dark gray added to the shoulder pads when you're combining them with the jets, so I don't really keep it that way. Anyway, so you can see with the condensers on, he looks like that. Now, one of the biggest things with this guy was building him was surprisingly easy compared to what I was expecting, and the hard part was the stickers. If you look at that yellow on his horns, those are stickers. Very hard to apply stickers because they like to spread off the horn. Now, oddly enough, he has some similar on his weapons that aren't spreading, but on here they are. Oh, and by the way, another sticker, probably the worst to put on, his eyes there, that entire blackish section with his eyes is a sticker. And it goes on a clear piece that is just wide enough and just long enough. It took me quite a while to get it on, and even then it's really not as straight as it could be. He also has a sticker on the back of his head with something written in very tiny text that I cannot read. The red crystal on the center of his head there is a sticker behind a piece of clear plastic. Which is what I like about this model, and I think pretty much the Gundams in general, is that all of the stickers are covered by these little plastic domes so they don't peel off. Well, except for these. But for the most part, they're covered by these little domes, like the little text sticker there, and the little Tron circuitry, and the Tron circuitry there. There isn't one on his upper leg, but it's kind of hidden by his hip thing, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, I said I'd talk about the L-Razor, so let's talk about the L-Razor. First of all, it bears quite a resemblance to Generation's Thunderwing, at least in my mind. You may not see it, but I certainly do. It looks even more like it if you have the non-condenser version, which has a orange cockpit. This just has a, even though it looks silver on the package, it's just a sort of frosted white, clearish color. Translucent, I guess the word is. But yeah, he's got some parts along the wings there. These bend like that. These bend in and up. And one thing that I don't remember if it was mentioned in the instructions or not, but when you're attaching the wings, you don't just slide them on. I mean, they'll hold there a little bit, but you're actually supposed to slide them forward until they click in. And you can tilt them out slightly if you want it to look like that. But the biggest thing I don't like about this set is actually, this may be I just didn't clip things together as well as I should have when I assembled it, but first of all, the cockpit's very loose. Now, I haven't glued it down or anything because I might paint it sometime in the future. But, oh, and by the way, this is a completely stock kit, as in, what you're seeing here was done entirely with what was in the box. I did not add any paint, any panel lines, any of my own stickers, just what was in the box. Which is a good way to get an idea of what the kit actually looks like, because almost every single review I've found, they've added like panel lining and paint washes and sticker paint remold things and whatnot. But anyway, what I don't like on my copy, well, just probably because of how I built it, but this back section is much, much looser than I honestly think it should be. I mean, it's obviously so it can, you know, fold down for the combined mode, but it is quite loose. Also, every time you flip it around like that, it peels back at that sticker down there, which I don't really like that much. But, yeah. There you can see there are some very, like those little parts there, those are stickers. There are some very small stickers on this set. Oh, and there is a piece that, just a little white square, basically, that plugs into there to hide the hole. This guy has one for his crotch, too, but I never put those in because, in all honesty, I really do not see any aesthetic advantage they give to either set, so I just leave them off. But anyway, it's pretty decent jet, and it does clip into the stand, obviously. And there, like that. Anyway, one thing that I really like about Gundams is the insane amount of articulation they have. the head can be moved, and that actually brings up my other point. Is I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but there is just a little peg holding this entire crest area in, and every time I move his head, I feel like I'm going to just snap it off. It hasn't come off yet, but still it is a point there. Though anyway, he's actually got a double ball joint neck, one joint at the bottom of his neck, one at the top. That is very cool. These back sections are on a ball joint back here. And usually I don't like it when especially when a Transformer has shoulder pads that aren't actually attached to the shoulders, because it's a pain to pose. But with this guy, I'm not really bothered by it. But he does have a limited ball joint back there, and these can swing forward, make like little armory speaker thrusters, and back, just if you want to stow them out of the way. And actually, I think I'll do that for showing the arm articulation, because you kind of need to. Anyway, the arms, once when I was posing this guy, this entire upper part just exploded off, simply because I was bending his arm, but anyway, you can rotate this there at the shoulder, and then in and out right there, swivels right there, and the elbow bends there to about there, and then it bends even further like that. Oh, and then this blue part can actually slide up, and then his wrist can slide up. So between those four joints, you can almost get his arm to fold in on itself, but not really. See, he does have a ball joint between this red piece and that gray piece, but just because of how the model is designed, you can't really use them. His waist, however, is swiveled, and oddly enough, the crotch plate is actually on a ball joint, which I'm trying to, there, see. It's on a ball joint, which makes sense for some of the figures, some of the sets that have like the big cape, crotch cape things, but this guy, it really doesn't get in the way, and I'm not sure why it's there, but it is. And he's also got these side pieces that are very posable there. No back skirt, though he does, well anyway, forward, back, outwards. Oh, it does have swivel, okay. Then, this is cool, double jointed knee that actually folds all the way back on itself. Then his ankle bends there, and there's this that bends up, allowing it to go slightly further. This can swivel out to the side enough that he can almost do a split with his feet flat on the ground. And he actually probably could, except that his hips can't. No, actually, I think his hips can go all the way. I don't remember. Nope, they can go all the way out. It is just that they're not quite articulated enough. But anyway, and they swivel, 360. Anyway, this is getting quite long, so I think I should really get on to the weapons and the combination. So, first of all, let me get the drives out of the way, and I'll see what we have in here for cool weapons and stuff. Some I'll save for the combination with the O-Riser jet, but some I will show right here. First off, you get these, which are probably the most cheapish, I guess, feeling weapons out of the set, simply because of how you can hear they're very rattly just because of how they're built. But they're little blade things, and they sort of extend a little. As you can see on the back, there's little pegs. And if you bought these sets individually, these weapons would come with the O-Racer, because they just peg onto the wings. And the Celestial Beings sticker, I don't think you actually get that with the individual sets. I'm pretty sure that's only with the Double O-Riser model kit that you get that. But then you can see it just gives them some extra wings. But most of what you do with them is actually with Double O here. And anyway, there's a tab on the back, and that can plug in here. Plugs in here. And this is probably the coolest way to display him without the jet, just because it gives him this sort of wings and looks cool. You can also plug them on. He can't hold them in his hands, but you can plug them onto the underside of his arms as little underblade knives. And also, the tops of these come off like this, and then you plug them into the lower holes, and it exposes the weapon pegs, well, the pegs there that you then clip together. And then you take this connector and just bring it up and slide it in, and then that can be used to attach the thing there as sort of a shield. But he also has these, which are the GN Sword 2, and these are those gray parts are the stickers I was talking about that didn't seem to want to come off, even though they are folded around the blade. And anyway, they're blades. They're pretty cool. They can be held like swords, or if you notice those, I can get this out of his hand. You notice those little holes on the side of his hip guards are so he can actually hold the little swords on his side, which I think looks very cool. And these things actually transform. You can fold this down, and then out of this part here you can fold the handle and then the stock, and then you have this. Now the instructions say to pull this off and reconnect it, but I personally like it the other way. Also, these are what you'd get with 00. I think one of the few weapons you would get with him if you got him just as his own set. But one thing that's neat about getting the 00 Riser kit is that you get these. And what these do is, and it's not a very sturdy connection, but you can see they're just flopping around. They really just, the only way you can get them to seat onto the figure is if you sort of slide them all the way down. But once you do, you have a very nice sort of energy blade for the thing, and you can hold it, and it's a nice way to differentiate the sword from the gun. Also, he comes with this also would come with the O-Riser jet if you bought them individually, but a different back clip part that you clip onto here, and then on the other one, and you can hold it as a double-bladed weapon, which looks very cool. However, I am not going to show it because I do not like clipping and unclipping these here, because I keep feeling like they're going to break off, and I don't want to break them off, so yeah. Anyway, he also comes with a pair of beam sabers, and yeah, they're pretty much lightsabers, just bigger, robotier, and cooler. And he comes with 2 of those, this being the second one, and you can slide this in there too, and he has lightsabers. And the blades, obviously, as they're 2 parts, they do come off, and you can take the handles and you can stick the handles up into the little sheaths on his butt, and he's got the little protector thing, the little storage for his weapons. Now, another reason to get 00 Riser is that if you just buy these 2 sets, you will not get the blades, and you will only get 1 handle. And neither of these 2 sets will come with the blades, and this guy gets a handle. That is it. However, there is actually quite a lot more to this figure that we haven't, well, not that much more. Actually, quite a lot, because we haven't even gone to the combined mode yet. But this guy also comes with an open hand, which pops quite easily into that ball joint, and it just gives him sort of an open hand, which is nice. Now, before I show off his final, and quite honestly the coolest weapon out of the bunch, I'm going to put him into his combined mode with the 00 Riser. So, to get this guy ready, he is. You don't have to do anything to this guy to get him ready for the combined mode, just leave him as he is. The O-Riser jet, you, as I showed you earlier, you slide these back and then off, and then, back off, then pull this out and swing it under, and then you'll see there's a tab there, and that tab you just stick into his back like that, and it gives him a jet hanging off his back, and then you take these and you flip the connector, so instead of being like that, it's like this, and then you connect that into here, And you can see how it sort of flows better than the cones. And then you just take this one and you swing that out and connect it to here. And there, and I think I'll put him on the stand for the rest of the video. There, you can sort of see is that his combined mode is very cool. It really takes a somewhat mediocre looking Gundam and makes it look very cool with a jet hanging off its back. And as you can see here, very cool. You can still give him the shield. You can plug the things on like they were in jet mode. You can give him the double-bladed sword. You can give him the beam sabers. But there is another weapon and another effect piece that this set has. That other weapon is the GN Sword 3. And as you can see, this is a very big, very cool weapon. Now, one thing that surprises me about the model is that these white parts are just pressed onto here. You just set them on, there's no clips, it's just the pegs friction fit into the holes, and it's actually holding on quite well. I mean, I could easily remove these if I wanted to, but they haven't been constantly falling off like I kind of expected them to. Now, these little cone parts there, you can see at that seam, these are their own pieces. And the problem with that is that when you attach the effect piece, sometimes they come off with the effect piece. But that's not what we're talking about right now, so let's combine it with the double O riser by bringing the sword up and slipping it into there and swinging the blade down and clipping it into the same hole used to attach the shield, and there is the giant GN Sword 3. And you can also, if you want, take the blade and swing it back. Now we have the GN Rifle 3, or the GN 3 rifle, or whatever it's called. But anyway, that I honestly prefer the blade better, just because the rifle just gives more back kibble, and it really doesn't look like all that much of a gun. But there is one final weapon, or more specifically, an effect piece. That is the Ryzen blade. Now, as you can see, it's quite big and hollow because it has to fit over the GN Sword 3. And you just slide it over, and you have to align all four of these tabs, which can be a bit tricky sometimes, but when you do, you get a giant sword. Like, really giant sword. This is, at least, just so you know, the tip of the GN Sword 3 is right there. It significantly increases the length. And you can't really have the Ryzen blade folded back. First of all, because it's wider, so it won't fit flat against here, and it's pegged into here, so that you can't actually flip it. And also, as I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if it'll do it, but, oh, yep, see? Sometimes it pulls off those little triangle pieces, but they do just clip right back in, and everything's good as new. Now, my opinions on this set, now that we've spent 20 minutes looking at it. Quite a cool set. Now, I don't really have anything to compare it to, considering this is the first Gundam model I've built, but I can say that it was a very fun model to build. The stickers were a pain. It has some very cool weapons. The shield feels a little cheap. The stand is a little disappointing, but it is a jet stand, and it does surprisingly well as a robot stand, despite being one. The effect pieces for the GN Sword 2 are a little floppy. The Ryzen blade sometimes pulls off the little side pieces on the gun. The overall figure itself feels surprisingly sturdy for a model. The crest likes to feel like it's going to snap off, but it hasn't yet. You do get the old thrusters in case you don't like the condensers, which is very good. And also, it's a very, very cool model. Now, once again, this is the only model I've seen, built, or played with, or even seen in person, so I've really nothing to compare it to, but I can say that it is extremely cool, even compared to itself. So there you have it, my review of Gundam 00, 00 riser condenser type, high grade, 1/122nd scale. That's quite hard to say.